gives my wife and myself great pleasure to welcome you to Buckingham Palace this evening. Yungu Ge, Ushin Gusul, Huanyang Hamnida.
Thankfully, the BBC have now revised their headline from yesterday, and the headline now reads, King Charles speaks Korean at state banquet to honour President. And King Charles and Queen Camilla have been hosting the South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol and his wife Kim Hyong-hee at a state banquet in Buckingham Palace. The King opened his speech to the assembled 170 guests with some welcoming words in the Korean language. And then it goes on to its stuff about K-pop, which it put forward last night. But it's sort of repairing some of the damage that it does. But the problem is, this is supposed to be the state broadcast. It's supposed to get it right, and it's supposed to be on the ball. And it isn't. It's playing catch-up all the time. This is a second-rate amateur operation. It needs to get its act together, and it needs to stop messing around with all its frippery and focus on what is important. What is important is the stuff which is broadcast. What is not important is all the nonsense. And there's too much nonsense and not enough focus on content. And while I'm at it, the Today programme on Radio 4 has got to a point where it's almost not worth putting on. It's drivel. And we need a balance of news programmes and opinion. And a news programme which is all repeated headlines is not a news programme. We can get that on any news channel just by flicking around. In fact, many other countries, Russia, Albania, Greece, Turkey, are the countries that I observe for the most part, all have significantly more in-depth news than we are offered on the BBC. The only thing in-depth on the BBC is weather. And that's rather pathetic, isn't it? And then when we don't have the news, we are gifted to hours of sofa chat and reality TV shows. There must be something of more value that the BBC can offer for its licence fee. There must be. And I'm not suggesting that everybody wants in-depth news. I'm suggesting that we should have a bit of it. And there's only so much Graham Norton that any sane person can take. There's only so much reality TV that any sane person can take. The news changes every day, so you've already got a programme which is endlessly captivating, and yet reducing it to headlines which are pronounced with great severity is not enough. We used to have programmes like Panorama, which did some sort of in-depth analysis and opinion. That hardly exists now. Even on BBC Two, that hardly exists now. We've got BBC One, BBC Two, BBC Three, BBC Four. BBC Three and Four hardly seem to exist as significant channels. There was a time when there was stuff on those, but there doesn't seem to be much stuff now. And then we've got all this nonsense about BBC iPlayer. It's as if the entire industry has moved over to social media. It's not true. There are many people who depend on and expect more from the BBC. After all, many people willingly pay the licence fee. I don't think the BBC organisation is coming up to the mark and is delivering the goods that make that licence fee look worthwhile. And it will lose it